1 year after the Battle of Earth, the Galactic Council convened for what many believed would be its final session. The Grand Chamber that had once housed representatives from 12 dominant species now struggled to accommodate delegates from over 60 civilizations, many of whom had never been invited to participate in galactic governance before. Ambassador Zethkar looked around the transformed chamber with a mixture of awe and resignation. Where once the Vorthok Empire had commanded respect through military might, they now found themselves seeking accommodation with the new galactic order. The humans had fundamentally changed everything. The Human Commonwealth has submitted a formal proposal to restructure galactic governance, announced the Council's automated moderator system. They request permission to address the Assembly. A murmur of anticipation rippled through the chamber as President Martinez materialized through holographic projection. She wore the simple dress uniform of the United Earth Navy, without the elaborate decorations that typically marked galactic leaders. Yet her presence commanded immediate attention from every delegate present. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. 1 year ago, you believed humanity was a species of cowards who would meekly accept extinction rather than fight for survival. Today, I stand before you not to gloat about your miscalculation, but to offer a vision of what our galaxy could become. The tactical displays around the chamber activated, showing the current state of galactic civilization. Former Krillian territories glowed green, indicating peaceful, productive worlds. Trade routes pulsed with activity as commerce flowed freely under human protection. Most remarkably, species that had been enemies for centuries were working together on joint projects. The old system was built on fear, Martinez continued. The strong dominated the weak. Predators controlled their prey, and the powerful decided the fate of the powerless. We propose something different, a system built on mutual respect, shared prosperity, and collective defense. Commander Wilix leaned forward, her compound eyes reflecting the data streams showing unprecedented cooperation between species. What you describe sounds idealistic, President Martinez. How do you propose to maintain order without the threat of force? Martinez smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both warm and dangerous. Commander Wilix, you misunderstand. We believe absolutely in the use of force, but only against those who would harm the innocent. The difference is that we don't threaten our allies. We threaten their enemies. As if to emphasize her point, the displays showed human battle fleets positioned throughout the galaxy. But unlike traditional military deployments, these forces were clearly protecting weaker species rather than threatening them. Every human ship was accompanied by vessels from their allies, creating integrated defense networks that were stronger than any single species could achieve alone. Colonel Torres, now commanding the Galactic Marine Corps, appeared on a secondary screen from the bridge of his flagship. Behind him, the bridge crew included Vethri tacticians, former Krillian prisoners who had defected to humanity, and representatives from a dozen other species. The old galactic order failed because it was based on dominance, he reported. Our system works because it's based on partnership. When every species has a stake in protecting the whole, everyone fights harder to defend it. Ambassador Quintel's ethereal form flickered with uncertainty. But how do you resolve conflicts between species with fundamentally different values and needs? The same way we've always resolved conflicts, Martinez replied. Through discussion, negotiation, and compromise. But when discussion fails, we ensure that the aggressor faces consequences that make aggression unprofitable. The truth was that human leadership had introduced something revolutionary to galactic politics: consistency. Unlike the old council, which had applied different standards to different species based on their military power, humans applied the same rules to everyone. Aggression was punished regardless of who initiated it, and protection was offered regardless of who needed it. War leader Kexthul accessed his military intelligence networks, pulling up analyses that confirmed what many had suspected. Your military forces now exceed those of any 3 galactic powers combined. What prevents you from simply imposing your will on the rest of us? Martinez's expression grew serious. Because that's not who we are. We learned long ago that empires built on conquest eventually collapse under their own weight. We're not building an empire. We're building a family. The word family resonated through the chamber in dozens of different languages, translated by each species' communication systems. For many delegates, it was the first time they had heard a galactic leader describe their relationship with other species in terms of kinship rather than dominance. Zethkar rose from his position, his massive frame casting shadows across the chamber floor. You speak of family, yet you possess the power to destroy any of us. How do we know you won't change your minds when it becomes convenient? Because, Martinez replied, we've had that power for a year and we haven't used it. Every species in this chamber has something we could take by force: resources, technology, strategic positions. Instead, we've offered partnership and asked for friendship. That's not going to change. The vote that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. 57 species voted to accept human leadership of a new galactic commonwealth. Only 3 abstained and none voted against the proposal. The old council dissolved itself and reformed as the Commonwealth Senate, with humanity holding no special status except their role as military protectors. As the session ended and delegates began departing, Ambassador Quintel approached President Martinez with a question that had been troubling her for months. I must ask, she said, were you truly prepared to let your species be destroyed rather than accept our evacuation offer? Martinez considered the question carefully before answering. Ambassador, you offered to save our bodies while letting our souls be destroyed. We would rather die as humans than live as refugees. That's not courage or cowardice, that's just who we are. As Earth's president departed the chamber, the assembled delegates understood that they had witnessed the end of one era and the beginning of another. The galaxy would never again mistake human determination for human weakness, and the stars themselves seemed brighter knowing that somewhere among them, a species existed that valued honor above safety and freedom above life itself. The humans had been called cowards by those who mistook caution for fear and preparation for panic. But the galaxy had learned the truth, that there is no courage greater than the willingness to face impossible odds for the sake of those who cannot protect themselves, and no strength greater than the bonds forged between species who choose to stand together against the darkness. High in the Rocky Mountain peaks, Master Sergeant Elena Vasquez adjusted her breathing and settled deeper into her concealed position. Snow crunched softly beneath her modified ghillie suit as she peered through the Schmidt and Bender scope, mounted on her custom-built rifle. 3 kilometers below, a column of alien vehicles crawled along the devastated remains of Interstate 70, their energy shields shimmering like heat waves in the thin mountain air. Elena had been tracking this particular convoy for 6 hours, moving parallel to their route through terrain that would challenge even experienced mountaineers. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, seemed incapable of adapting to the harsh environment. Their vehicles moved slowly, following predictable paths through the valleys rather than taking advantage of their anti-gravity capabilities. Amateur hour, she whispered to herself, a habit developed during countless deployments in Afghanistan and Syria. Her spotter, Corporal Marcus Chen, lay motionless beside her, monitoring multiple tablets displaying wind speed, atmospheric pressure, and thermal imaging data. Distance confirmed at 2,247 meters, Chen reported quietly. Wind is steady at 4 miles per hour from the northwest. Atmospheric pressure holding stable. Elena nodded, making minute adjustments to her scope's elevation turret. The .338 Lapua Magnum cartridge in her rifle's chamber was her own hand-loaded creation, precisely crafted for this exact range and atmospheric conditions. While the aliens mocked human technology as primitive, they failed to understand that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective. Through her scope, she studied the alien column's security detail. The towering crystalline creatures the intelligence briefings called Krillians moved with mechanical precision, their 4 arms carrying energy weapons that had effortlessly carved through armored vehicles in previous engagements. Their environmental suits appeared impenetrable, constructed from some form of advanced polymer that their energy shields reinforced. However, Elena had learned something during her previous engagements that the aliens hadn't yet realized. Their suits possessed a critical design flaw, a tiny gap where the helmet connected to the chest piece that allowed for necessary joint movement. The gap measured perhaps 3 millimeters, invisible to casual observation, but clearly visible through her high-powered optics. Target acquired, she breathed, settling her crosshairs on the lead security element. Krillian Commander, distinctive rank markings on his chest plate. Chen monitored his instruments carefully. Atmospheric conditions optimal. No thermal distortion detected. You're green for engagement. Elena's breathing slowed to the deep, methodical rhythm she had perfected over 15 years of precision shooting. Her heart rate dropped to 40 beats per minute, each pulse clearly audible in her ears. The alien commander moved with arrogant confidence, apparently believing his advanced technology made him invulnerable to human weapons. The rifle's trigger broke like glass under her finger, and the heavy bullet began its 3-second journey through the thin mountain air. Elena immediately worked the bolt, chambering another round while tracking the projectile's impact through her scope. The Krillian commander's head snapped backward as the bullet found its target, penetrating the tiny gap in his armor with surgical precision. The effect on the alien column was immediate and satisfying. The remaining security elements scattered, their energy weapons firing wildly at shadows while their sensors failed to detect Elena's position. Their advanced targeting systems, designed to locate energy signatures and electronic emissions, were useless against a human sniper using purely mechanical weapons. "One down," Elena reported, already shifting her aim to the next target. Adjusting for the vehicle commander in the lead transport, the second shot followed 30 seconds later, eliminating another Krillian through the same vulnerable point in his armor. Panic spread through the alien formation as their supposedly invincible troops fell to an unseen enemy. Energy beams lanced wildly across the mountainside, vaporizing rocks and trees hundreds of meters from Elena's actual position. Chen monitored the aliens' radio communications through captured equipment, translating their panicked chatter. They're requesting immediate air support and orbital bombardment of grid coordinates 847 Alpha through 852 Charlie. That's basically the entire mountain range. "Let them waste their ammunition on empty rocks," Elena replied, settling her sights on a third target. "By the time their air support arrives, we'll be 10 kilometers away." The third shot eliminated an alien wearing different armor markings, possibly a technical specialist or communications officer. The remaining Krillians abandoned their vehicles entirely, seeking cover behind their energy shields while their sensors swept frantically for any sign of human presence. Elena smiled grimly as she watched the aliens' confusion through her scope. Their technology was impressive, but they had made a fundamental error in understanding human capabilities. They expected energy weapons, electronic signatures, and predictable tactics based on their previous encounters with other galactic species. Instead, they faced an enemy that had spent millennia perfecting the art of killing at extreme range, using nothing more than precisely machined metal projectiles and mathematical calculations. Human snipers had learned their craft hunting animals across vast distances, refined it in countless wars across Earth's history, and elevated it to an art form through pure dedication and skill. "Time to relocate," Elena announced, beginning to pack her equipment with practiced efficiency. "Chen, plot us a route to Observation Point Delta. We'll let them search these mountains for the next 6 hours while we set up the next engagement." As they prepared to move, Chen couldn't help but grin at the chaos unfolding below. "Think they're starting to take us seriously yet?" Elena shouldered her rifle and began moving carefully through the snow-covered rocks. "Not yet, but they will. Every time they lose another squad to something they can't detect or understand, their confidence drops a little more. Fear is a weapon too, Chen, and we're about to teach these aliens what real terror feels like." The two soldiers disappeared into the mountain terrain with the skill of experienced hunters, leaving behind only empty casings and the growing realization among the alien forces that they had seriously underestimated their human opponents. In the valley below, the Krillian survivors called desperately for reinforcements while scanning empty mountainsides for an enemy that seemed to strike from nowhere. Miles away, Elena was already planning her next engagement, studying topographic maps and calculating firing solutions for the alien relief column that would inevitably follow. The war was far from over, but the balance of fear was beginning to shift in humanity's favor, one precisely placed shot at a time. High in the Rocky Mountain peaks, Master Sergeant Elena Vasquez adjusted her breathing and settled deeper into her concealed position. Snow crunched softly beneath her modified ghillie suit as she peered through the Schmidt and Bender scope, mounted on her custom-built rifle. 3 kilometers below, a column of alien vehicles crawled along the devastated remains of Interstate 70, their energy shields shimmering like heat waves in the thin mountain air. Elena had been tracking this particular convoy for 6 hours, moving parallel to their route through terrain that would challenge even experienced mountaineers. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, seemed incapable of adapting to the harsh environment. Their vehicles moved slowly, following predictable paths through the valleys rather than taking advantage of their anti-gravity capabilities. Amateur hour, she whispered to herself, a habit developed during countless deployments in Afghanistan and Syria. Her spotter, Corporal Marcus Chen, lay motionless beside her, monitoring multiple tablets displaying wind speed, atmospheric pressure, and thermal imaging data. Distance confirmed at 2,247 meters, Chen reported quietly. Wind is steady at 4 miles per hour from the northwest. Atmospheric pressure holding stable. Elena nodded, making minute adjustments to her scope's elevation turret. The .338 Lapua Magnum cartridge in her rifle's chamber was her own hand-loaded creation, precisely crafted for this exact range and atmospheric conditions. While the aliens mocked human technology as primitive, they failed to understand that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective. Through her scope, she studied the alien column's security detail. The towering crystalline creatures the intelligence briefings called Krillians moved with mechanical precision, their 4 arms carrying energy weapons that had effortlessly carved through armored vehicles in previous engagements. Their environmental suits appeared impenetrable, constructed from some form of advanced polymer that their energy shields reinforced. However, Elena had learned something during her previous engagements that the aliens hadn't yet realized. Their suits possessed a critical design flaw, a tiny gap where the helmet connected to the chest piece that allowed for necessary joint movement. The gap measured perhaps 3 millimeters, invisible to casual observation, but clearly visible through her high-powered optics. Target acquired, she breathed, settling her crosshairs on the lead security element. Krillian Commander, distinctive rank markings on his chest plate. Chen monitored his instruments carefully. Atmospheric conditions optimal. No thermal distortion detected. You're green for engagement. Elena's breathing slowed to the deep, methodical rhythm she had perfected over 15 years of precision shooting. Her heart rate dropped to 40 beats per minute, each pulse clearly audible in her ears. The alien commander moved with arrogant confidence, apparently believing his advanced technology made him invulnerable to human weapons. The rifle's trigger broke like glass under her finger, and the heavy bullet began its 3-second journey through the thin mountain air. Elena immediately worked the bolt, chambering another round while tracking the projectile's impact through her scope. The Krillian commander's head snapped backward as the bullet found its target, penetrating the tiny gap in his armor with surgical precision. The effect on the alien column was immediate and satisfying. The remaining security elements scattered, their energy weapons firing wildly at shadows while their sensors failed to detect Elena's position. Their advanced targeting systems, designed to locate energy signatures and electronic emissions, were useless against a human sniper using purely mechanical weapons. 1 down, Elena reported, already shifting her aim to the next target. Adjusting for the vehicle commander in the lead transport, the second shot followed 30 seconds later, eliminating another Krillian through the same vulnerable point in his armor. Panic spread through the alien formation as their supposedly invincible troops fell to an unseen enemy. Energy beams lanced wildly across the mountainside, vaporizing rocks and trees hundreds of meters from Elena's actual position. Chen monitored the aliens' radio communications through captured equipment, translating their panicked chatter. They're requesting immediate air support and orbital bombardment of grid coordinates 847 Alpha through 852 Charlie. That's basically the entire mountain range. Let them waste their ammunition on empty rocks, Elena replied, settling her sights on a third target. By the time their air support arrives, we'll be 10 kilometers away. The third shot eliminated an alien wearing different armor markings, possibly a technical specialist or communications officer. The remaining Krillians abandoned their vehicles entirely, seeking cover behind their energy shields while their sensors swept frantically for any sign of human presence. Elena smiled grimly as she watched the aliens' confusion through her scope. Their technology was impressive, but they had made a fundamental error in understanding human capabilities. They expected energy weapons, electronic signatures, and predictable tactics based on their previous encounters with other galactic species. Instead, they faced an enemy that had spent millennia perfecting the art of killing at extreme range, using nothing more than precisely machined metal projectiles and mathematical calculations. Human snipers had learned their craft hunting animals across vast distances, refined it in countless wars across Earth's history, and elevated it to an art form through pure dedication and skill. "Time to relocate," Elena announced, beginning to pack her equipment with practiced efficiency. "Chen, plot us a route to Observation Point Delta. We'll let them search these mountains for the next 6 hours while we set up the next engagement." As they prepared to move, Chen couldn't help but grin at the chaos unfolding below. "Think they're starting to take us seriously yet?" Elena shouldered her rifle and began moving carefully through the snow-covered rocks. "Not yet, but they will. Every time they lose another squad to something they can't detect or understand, their confidence drops a little more. Fear is a weapon too, Chen, and we're about to teach these aliens what real terror feels like." The two soldiers disappeared into the mountain terrain with the skill of experienced hunters, leaving behind only empty casings and the growing realization among the alien forces that they had seriously underestimated their human opponents. In the valley below, the Krillian survivors called desperately for reinforcements while scanning empty mountainsides for an enemy that seemed to strike from nowhere. Miles away, Elena was already planning her next engagement, studying topographic maps and calculating firing solutions for the alien relief column that would inevitably follow. The war was far from over, but the balance of fear was beginning to shift in humanity's favor, one precisely placed shot at a time. Captain Sarah "Ghost" Mitchell crouched in the burned-out remains of a downtown Denver office building, her rifle trained on the alien checkpoint 2 kilometers away. The Galactic Alliance forces had adapted their tactics after suffering devastating sniper attacks, but their adaptations revealed how little they truly understood human warfare. "They're learning," her spotter, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, observed through his spotting scope. "Look at how they position their vehicles now. Never more than 800 meters from hard cover. Constant movement patterns overlapping energy shield coverage." Sarah smiled grimly as she studied the alien deployment. "Learning the wrong lessons, Rodriguez. They think this is about technology and positioning. They still don't understand what they're really fighting." Through her scope, she watched the aliens' new defensive procedures. Krillian troops moved in short, quick rushes between armored vehicles. Insectoid hive warriors maintained constant communication chatter to prevent coordinated attacks. The aquatic Neptunians had deployed sensor drones in overlapping grids, searching for the electronic signatures they expected human snipers to emit. "Range to primary target?" Sarah asked, adjusting her position slightly to account for the morning wind patterns flowing between the towering buildings. 240 meters to the command vehicle. Wind is variable between buildings, averaging 6 miles per hour from the southwest. I'm reading thermal distortion from that solar heating array, but it shouldn't affect your shot." Sarah had been hunting these particular aliens for 3 days, learning their routines and identifying their command structure. The target was a Krillian general, whose crystalline skin bore intricate markings indicating high rank within their military hierarchy. He moved between positions regularly, never staying exposed for more than minutes at a time, but patterns always emerged for those patient enough to observe. "Contact. Movement from the transport," Rodriguez reported. "Your boy is stepping out for his morning inspection. Same routine as yesterday, checking perimeter positions in clockwise order." Through her scope, Sarah watched the alien general emerge from his heavily armored command vehicle. His forearms moved with practiced military precision as he reviewed tactical displays and communicated with his subordinates. The energy shield surrounding him shimmered like heat waves, designed to deflect energy weapons and explosive projectiles. What the aliens hadn't yet realized was that their shields were calibrated for known galactic weapons technology. A precisely aimed kinetic projectile moving at 3,000 feet per second passed through their energy barriers like they didn't exist. The shield systems never registering the threat. "Steady wind, clear atmospheric conditions," Rodriguez continued his report. "Thermal bloom from their generator is creating slight distortion at 1,800 meters, but your target is clear. You're green for engagement." Sarah controlled her breathing, feeling her heart rate slow to the meditative rhythm she had perfected through years of training. The alien general paused at a checkpoint, his tall form clearly visible through her scope's crystal-clear optics. The gap between his helmet and chest armor presented itself like a bullseye, exactly 3 millimeters wide and perfectly positioned for a clean shot. The rifle bucked against her shoulder, as the .338 Lapua Magnum sent its deadly message across the urban battlefield. Sarah immediately worked the bolt, chambering another round while tracking the bullet's impact through her scope. The alien general's movements ceased abruptly as the precisely placed projectile found its target, penetrating his armor's single vulnerable point with surgical accuracy. The effect on the alien checkpoint was immediate and predictable. Troops scattered for cover while their sensors swept frantically for the source of attack. Energy weapons discharged wildly at suspected sniper positions, vaporizing concrete and steel hundreds of meters from Sarah's actual location. Beautiful shot, Rodriguez confirmed. Clean hit through the gap. Target is down and not getting back up. Sarah was already shifting her aim to secondary targets when something unexpected happened. Instead of the usual panicked response, the aliens began implementing a coordinated counter-sniper protocol. Smoke grenades deployed to obscure sight lines while hover-capable vehicles lifted off to provide aerial reconnaissance. They're adapting faster than expected, she observed, tracking one of the ascending aircraft through her scope. Someone's been teaching them proper anti-sniper tactics. Rodriguez monitored the alien communications through captured equipment. I'm picking up chatter about human hunting specialists being deployed to the sector. Sounds like they've brought in their own version of snipers. As if summoned by his words, Sarah's scope detected movement on a distant rooftop. A sleek insectoid figure was setting up what appeared to be an advanced targeting system, its compound eyes gleaming as sophisticated sensors scanned the surrounding buildings. The alien sniper's weapon was unlike anything in their standard arsenal, featuring multiple targeting lasers and what looked like a gravitic stabilization system. We've got company, Sarah reported. Hostile sniper approximately 1,600 meters northeast, setting up on the Marriott building. Looks like they've finally brought in professionals. The alien sniper's sensors swept methodically across the urban landscape, searching for heat signatures and electromagnetic emissions. Its equipment was clearly designed to locate technologically advanced opponents, not humans using purely mechanical weapons and natural concealment. Sarah smiled as she studied her new adversary. Rodriguez, how long do you think it'll take him to realize he's hunting ghosts? Based on their previous learning curve, about 30 seconds after you put a bullet through his targeting system. The alien sniper continued its methodical search, apparently confident that its superior technology would locate any human sniper in the area. Its compound eyes processed multiple wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation while its weapon system calculated firing solutions based on detected energy signatures. Sarah adjusted her scope for the new range and settled into firing position. Time for another lesson in human warfare. When you're hunting humans, the real danger comes from where you're not looking. The alien sniper never detected the incoming projectile. Sarah's bullet shattered its sophisticated targeting system in a shower of sparks and alien components, sending the creature diving for cover behind the building structure. She immediately worked the bolt and fired again, this time targeting the alien's weapon itself, rendering it completely inoperative. 2 for 2, Rodriguez confirmed. Hostile sniper is combat ineffective. His fancy equipment is scrap metal. Across the battlefield, the psychological impact was immediate and devastating. The aliens had finally deployed their own long-range specialists, only to watch them be systematically neutralized by an enemy they couldn't detect or effectively engage. The message was clear. Human snipers didn't just outrange and outshoot their galactic counterparts. They operated on a completely different level of warfare. Sarah began packing her equipment as alien aircraft converged on their sector. Time to relocate. Plot us a route to the financial district. I want to be set up for the evening shift change at their main command post. As they prepared to move, Rodriguez couldn't help but admire the growing panic in the alien communications. Think they're finally starting to understand what they're up against? Sarah shouldered her rifle and smiled coldly. Not yet, but they're learning. Every engagement teaches them that all their technology and superior numbers mean nothing when they can't find their enemy. Fear is the best teacher, Rodriguez, and we're about to give them a masterclass. The two soldiers disappeared into the urban ruins, leaving behind only empty casings and the growing realization among the alien forces that they had encountered something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The holographic projection flickered to life in the deepest bunker beneath the Cheyenne Mountain complex, revealing the grim face of General Patricia Hawkins, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces. Around the secure conference table sat the planet's most elite sniper instructors, their weathered faces bearing the marks of countless campaigns across humanity's war-torn history. "Gentlemen, ladies," General Hawkins began, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "The aliens think they understand what they're facing. They've seen our mountain snipers, our urban specialists, our individual operators working in small teams. They have no conception of what happens when humanity decides to stop playing games." Master Sergeant Elena Vasquez, still wearing her mountain camouflage from the Colorado engagements, leaned forward in her chair. "Ma'am, current casualty reports show we've eliminated over 400 alien specialists using conventional sniper tactics. Their morale is breaking down, but they're starting to adapt their procedures." "Which is exactly what we wanted," General Hawkins replied with a predatory smile. "Colonel Morrison briefed them on Operation Longshot." Colonel James Morrison, a legend among military snipers with confirmed kills on 6 continents, activated his tactical display. "For the past month, while our frontline operators have been teaching the aliens to fear individual human marksmanship, we've been preparing something much more ambitious." What you're about to see is classified at the highest levels and represents humanity's true response to galactic invasion. The holographic display shifted to show a 3-dimensional map of the entire North American continent, with thousands of red markers scattered across strategic positions. We have positioned 1,047 elite snipers at calculated locations from Alaska to Mexico. Every mountain peak capable of supporting long-range fire, every urban position with adequate sightlines, every strategic choke point the aliens must use to maintain their occupation. Sergeant First Class Rodriguez, Sarah Mitchell's spotter from the Denver engagements, studied the display with growing amazement. "Sir, that's nearly every qualified sniper in the Western Hemisphere." "Not just qualified, Rodriguez. These are the best of the best. Olympic-level competition shooters, military special operations veterans, law enforcement specialists who've been training for this moment their entire careers. We've equipped them with specially manufactured ammunition designed to penetrate alien armor, communication systems hardened against electromagnetic interference, and targeting data calculated by our most advanced computers." Elena felt a chill run down her spine as the true scope of the operation became apparent. "Ma'am, you're talking about coordinated continental-scale sniper warfare. Nothing like this has ever been attempted in human history." General Hawkins nodded grimly, "Because nothing like this has ever been necessary. The aliens made a fundamental error in their strategic assessment. They evaluated our technology and found it primitive. They studied our military organization and considered it inferior. What they failed to understand is that humanity doesn't fight wars the way other species do." Colonel Morrison manipulated the display to show detailed timing sequences. "Operation Longshot will commence at exactly 600 hours tomorrow morning. Every sniper position will begin simultaneous engagements with alien forces across the continent. The aliens' command structure, communication networks, and supply lines will be systematically dismantled by precision fire they cannot detect, locate, or effectively counter." The implications were staggering. Instead of facing scattered individual snipers, the alien forces would suddenly find themselves under coordinated attack from nearly 2,000 of humanity's most skilled marksmen, all operating according to a unified tactical plan. Captain Sarah Mitchell, who had been quietly studying the operational parameters, finally spoke up. "The psychological impact alone will be devastating. They've learned to fear individual human snipers, but they have no frame of reference for facing coordinated sniper warfare on this scale." "Exactly," General Hawkins confirmed. "Their military doctrine is based on technological superiority and numerical advantage. They expect enemies to mass their forces for traditional engagements, where superior firepower and shielding provide decisive advantages. They have no concept of facing an enemy that can inflict massive casualties while remaining completely dispersed and undetectable." Colonel Morrison highlighted specific operational details. "Each sniper team has been assigned priority targets based on extensive intelligence analysis. Command personnel, communication specialists, technical experts, vehicle operators, everything necessary to maintain their occupation force. Simultaneously eliminating these key individuals across the entire theater will create cascading failures throughout their command structure." Elena studied the target assignments with professional interest. "Sir, some of these shots are at extreme range even by our standards. We're talking about 4,000-meter engagements in some cases. Which is why we've reserved those positions for our absolute best shooters, Colonel Morrison replied. Elena, your assignment is Pikes Peak. You'll be engaging alien command elements in Colorado Springs from a range of 3,800 meters. The elevation advantage and atmospheric conditions are optimal for your capabilities. Sarah examined her own assignment with growing excitement. Denver International Airport. Engaging aircraft and ground vehicle crews. Multiple targets of opportunity at varying ranges. The briefing continued for hours as each sniper received detailed intelligence packages, specialized equipment, and coordination protocols. The operation represented the culmination of human military evolution, combining individual skill with technological support and strategic coordination. As the meeting concluded, General Hawkins addressed the assembled snipers with quiet intensity. The aliens think they understand human warfare because they've faced our conventional forces. Tomorrow they'll learn what happens when humanity stops holding back. You represent the finest marksmen our species has ever produced, and you're about to demonstrate why human snipers are the most feared warriors in the galaxy. Elena gathered her equipment and mission briefing, still amazed by the scope of what they were attempting. Rodriguez, you realize we're about to make military history. No one has ever coordinated sniper operations on this scale. Rodriguez shouldered his gear with grim determination. Ma'am, after tomorrow, every species in the galaxy is going to understand why you don't invade a world full of humans. We're about to show them that our primitive weapons are deadly, precisely because we're the ones using them. As the snipers dispersed to their assigned positions across the continent, each carried the weight of humanity's response to galactic aggression. The aliens had expected a quick victory against a technologically inferior species. Instead, they were about to face the coordinated fury of Earth's most dangerous predators, armed with precision weapons and driven by the desperate need to protect their homeworld. Operation Longshot would begin in 18 hours, and the galaxy would never view human military capability the same way again. At exactly 0600 hours Mountain Time, nearly 2,000 rifle bolts closed simultaneously across the North American continent. From the icy peaks of Alaska to the desert mountains of Mexico, humanity's finest marksmen settled into firing positions that had been calculated with mathematical precision and prepared over weeks of careful planning. Master Sergeant Elena Vasquez lay prone on Pikes Peak, her custom rifle trained on the Alien Command Complex, 3,847 meters below in Colorado Springs. Through her scope, she could see Krillian officers conducting their morning briefing, their crystalline skin gleaming in the early sunlight as they reviewed tactical displays showing what they believed was successful containment of human resistance. Wind is steady at 7 miles per hour from the northwest. Corporal Chen reported through their encrypted communication system. Atmospheric pressure optimal. Temperature differential creating minimal thermal distortion. You are green for engagement. Elena's breathing slowed to the meditative rhythm she had perfected through years of training. The alien general in her crosshairs moved with arrogant confidence. Apparently believing his technological superiority made him untouchable at such extreme range. His energy shields shimmered around him, designed to deflect the advanced weapons of galactic warfare. The rifle bucked against her shoulder as the specially crafted .338 La Pua Magnum began its journey through the thin mountain air. Elena immediately worked the bolt, chambering another round while tracking the bullet's impact through her scope. The alien general's movements ceased abruptly as the precisely placed projectile found the tiny gap in his armor. Across the continent, 46 other rifles fired within the same 60-second window. Captain Sarah Mitchell eliminated 3 alien aircraft crew members at Denver International Airport, with shots spaced exactly 12 seconds apart. Her bullets punched through cockpit transparencies that were supposedly resistant to energy weapons, each shot calculated to penetrate at the exact angle that bypassed their defensive systems. In the Rocky Mountains of Montana, Gunnery Sergeant Williams engaged a convoy of alien supply vehicles from a ridge 4,200 meters away, systematically eliminating drivers and commanders with impossible precision. His targets never even detected the incoming fire before they died. On the urban rooftops of Chicago, Staff Sergeant Davis neutralized an entire alien communication array by targeting the technical specialists maintaining the equipment. Each shot was timed to prevent them from raising alarms before the next technician was eliminated. The coordinated assault created a cascading failure throughout the alien command structure that exceeded even the most optimistic human projections. Within the first hour, over 800 key alien personnel had been eliminated across the continent, creating gaps in their organization that immediately began affecting operational capability. General Vextar stood in the command center of his orbital dreadnought, watching in growing horror as red indicators spread across his tactical displays like a plague. "This is impossible," he clicked frantically, his crystalline skin shifting through a spectrum of colors indicating extreme stress. Simultaneous attacks across 2,000 kilometers of frontage with no detected energy signatures, Admiral. Zephyra's tentacles writhed in her mobility tank as casualty reports flooded their communication systems. "We're losing command personnel at a rate of 1 every 90 seconds. Communication networks are fragmenting as specialists are eliminated faster than they can be replaced." Hive Speaker Click's compound eyes processed the incoming data with mechanical precision. The mathematical probability of achieving such coordination with primitive weapons approaches 0. Yet the evidence is undeniable. Human marksmen are operating with tactical coordination that exceeds our own special operations capabilities. On the ground, alien forces that had grown accustomed to facing individual snipers suddenly found themselves under attack from directions they hadn't even considered possible. Shots arrived from mountains dozens of kilometers away, from urban positions that should have been outside effective weapon range, from concealed positions that their most advanced sensors couldn't detect. Elena shifted to her second target, a Krillian technical specialist working on communication equipment 300 meters away. The morning sun created perfect visibility conditions as she settled her crosshairs on the alien's vulnerable neck joint. The rifle spoke again, and another key member of the alien command structure ceased to exist. "Confirmed elimination of secondary target," Chen reported. "Alien forces are beginning to abandon exposed positions. I'm seeing general retreat toward hardened bunkers." Across their encrypted network, reports flooded in from sniper teams throughout the theater. The aliens were learning that no position was safe from human marksmen, no range was too extreme for their weapons, no armor was proof against precisely placed shots. Sarah Mitchell had moved to her alternate position and was engaging alien reinforcements attempting to reach Denver International Airport. Her bullets found their marks across distances that their targeting computers indicated were impossible for chemical-powered weapons. Vehicle commanders, aircraft pilots, and technical specialists fell to her rifle with mechanical precision. "Multiple aircraft down," Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. "Their pilots can't maintain formation when they're being eliminated from impossible ranges. They're breaking off engagement and retreating to orbital positions." The psychological impact was even more devastating than the tactical success. Alien troops that had conquered dozens of worlds through technological superiority now found themselves facing an enemy that killed them with weapons their sensors couldn't detect from ranges they couldn't comprehend. General Vextar studied the tactical analysis with growing dread. "They're not just coordinating their attacks, they're systematically dismantling our command structure, using targeting data that suggests comprehensive intelligence preparation. This level of operational planning requires months of preparation." Which means, Admiral Zephyra realized with horror, they've been planning this coordinated response since before we arrived. While we were conducting what we thought was a successful invasion, they were preparing to demonstrate their true military capability. Dr. Yindar accessed her xenobiological databases with trembling tentacles. "I'm beginning to understand. Humans don't just possess individual marksmanship capability. They've weaponized their entire species' hunting instincts on a continental scale. We're not facing an army with snipers. We're facing a planet full of apex predators working in perfect coordination." The horrifying realization spread through the alien command structure like ripples through water. They had expected to conquer a primitive world using overwhelming technological advantage. Instead, they had walked into a carefully prepared trap designed by the galaxy's most dangerous hunters. By noon, Operation Longshot had eliminated over 1,500 alien specialists, effectively crippling the invasion force's operational capability. More importantly, it had demonstrated to the Galactic Alliance that humanity possessed military capabilities that transcended traditional tactical doctrine. Elena adjusted her scope for her afternoon targets, a smile playing across her lips as she watched alien forces fleeing toward their orbital positions. "Chen, I think they're finally starting to understand what they're really fighting." The message was clear across every communication frequency the aliens monitored. Earth belonged to humanity, and any species foolish enough to invade would face the coordinated wrath of 2 billion apex predators armed with precision weapons and an unshakable will to defend their home. The emergency session of the Galactic Alliance Supreme Council convened in desperate haste aboard the command dreadnought Eternal Dominion. Positioned safely in the outer system beyond the reach of human weapons, Fleet Admiral Korthok stood before the assembled representatives of 12 species, his reptilian features twisted with the bitter taste of unprecedented defeat. "Honored counselors," he began, his translator converting his hissed words into the formal tones of galactic standard. "After 6 months of what we believed would be a routine pacification operation, I must report the complete failure of our invasion of the human homeworld." The reaction was immediate and volatile. Council Speaker Morden of the Ancient Ethereal Collective raised himself in his hover chair, his energy form crackling with indignation. "Impossible! No primitive species has successfully resisted Alliance expansion in 3,000 years. Your forces possess overwhelming technological superiority." General Vextar stepped forward, his crystalline skin a deep shade of defeated gray. "Honored counselors, our technological advantage has proven irrelevant against human military doctrine. In the past week alone, we have lost 3,247 key personnel to sniper fire. Our command structure has been systematically dismantled by an enemy we cannot detect, locate, or effectively engage." Hive Speaker Clicth presented holographic battle analysis to the assembled council. "The humans have demonstrated coordination capabilities that exceed our most optimistic models. Operation Longshot, as they termed it, involved nearly 2,000 simultaneous precision eliminations across their entire continent. The mathematical probability of achieving such coordination with primitive weapons was calculated as impossible. Yet they executed it with perfect timing." Council Speaker Ythara of the Trade Federation leaned forward, her aquatic form shimmering with disbelief. "You're telling us that a species with chemical-powered projectile weapons has defeated Alliance forces equipped with energy shields, gravitic manipulation, and orbital support?" Dr. Yindar activated her research displays with trembling tentacles. "Honored counselors, I have spent months studying human capability, and our fundamental assumptions were catastrophically incorrect. We assessed their technology and found it primitive. We evaluated their weapons and considered them inferior. What we failed to understand is that humans are not just another technological species. They are the galaxy's apex predators who have weaponized hunting instincts refined over millions of years of evolution." The holographic display showed detailed analysis of human sniper operations. "A single human marksman, properly trained and equipped, can eliminate our most elite troops from distances exceeding 4 kilometers using purely mechanical weapons. They require no energy signatures, no electronic emissions, no technological support beyond precisely machined projectiles and mathematical calculations." Admiral Zephyra floated in her command tank, tentacles writhing with nervous energy. "The psychological impact has been equally devastating. Our troops, who have conquered dozens of worlds through technological superiority, now refuse deployment to areas with confirmed human sniper activity. We have elite shock troopers requesting transfers rather than face an enemy they cannot fight." Council Speaker Vorthak of the military caste studied the casualty reports with growing horror. "These numbers suggest individual humans capable of combat effectiveness, equivalent to an entire squad of our specialists. How is this possible?" "Because we misunderstood the nature of human warfare," General Vextar admitted. "They don't rely on technology for superiority. They rely on individual skill, training, and capability that transcends our tactical doctrine. A human sniper doesn't need advanced targeting systems because their evolutionary development created natural capabilities we cannot replicate." Elena Vasquez's final engagement from Pikes Peak had been recorded by orbital surveillance and played for the Council. The footage showed her eliminating 6 alien commanders from a distance of 4,100 meters in under 4 minutes. Each shot placed with surgical precision through armor gaps measuring less than 3 millimeters. "This individual," Dr. Yindar explained, "represents what humans consider a competent, but not exceptional marksman. Their military records indicate thousands of individuals with equal or superior capability distributed across their colonies throughout known space." The implications struck the Council like a physical blow. If Earth, a single human world, could field 2,000 snipers capable of systematically destroying their invasion force, what would happen when they faced the full military might of humanity's interstellar colonies? Council Speaker Ixthari of the Science Directorate processed the data with mechanical precision. Analysis indicates human space encompasses 347 confirmed worlds, with total population exceeding 200 billion individuals. If they can produce marksmen at the demonstrated rate, they could potentially field 400,000 individuals capable of eliminating our elite troops with impunity. Admiral Korthak finished grimly. We would be facing an enemy that could systematically hunt down and eliminate our entire military leadership using weapons we cannot detect or counter. The council chamber fell silent as the full scope of their miscalculation became apparent. They had encountered something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that had achieved military superiority through individual capability rather than technological advancement. Hive Speaker Klikth presented the final piece of intelligence that sealed their fate. Intercepted human communications indicate they view our invasion attempt as practice for the real war. They are already preparing for retaliation against our core worlds, and their tactics suggest they understand our military capabilities better than we understand theirs. Council Speaker Morden's energy form flickered with what might have been fear. Are you suggesting they intend to invade Alliance space? Not invade, Dr. Yindar corrected. Hunt. Human military doctrine doesn't focus on occupation or territorial conquest. They eliminate threats through precise targeted elimination of enemy capability. They're planning to systematically hunt down and eliminate our command structure across the entire Alliance. The horrifying vision crystallized in every counselor's mind. Human snipers infiltrating Alliance worlds, invisible to their sensors, eliminating military and political leadership with impossible precision, creating cascading failures throughout their civilization while remaining completely undetectable. Admiral Korthak delivered the final recommendation that would reshape galactic politics forever. Honored counselors, I formally recommend immediate cessation of all hostile actions against human space and the opening of diplomatic negotiations. We cannot defeat an enemy we cannot find, and they have demonstrated the capability to systematically dismantle our military structure from impossible ranges. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, human communication networks received the first diplomatic overture in their species' history, a formal request for peace negotiations from the Galactic Alliance, along with complete withdrawal of all military forces from human space. Elena Vasquez received the news while cleaning her rifle in the mountain hideout, where she had terrorized an entire alien army. She smiled as she read the message on her tactical communicator. Aliens requesting immediate ceasefire and peace talks. Mission accomplished. For the first time in galactic history, a species had achieved military victory through individual skill and precision rather than technological superiority. The human snipers had taught the galaxy a lesson that would never be forgotten. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you never see coming. The Mockery had indeed turned to terror, and humanity had earned its place among the stars not through superior technology, but through the simple, deadly precision of well-aimed shots fired by the galaxy's most dangerous hunters.